So how is calcium linked with the carbon 12 and carbon 14? Is nitrogen part of that link?
Uh, Carbon 12, carbon is connected to carbon 12. It's got nothing to do with carbon 14. In a way, it has, but not much.
You said
And you
carbon is connected with carbon 12. You mean calcium is connected with carbon 12?
calcium with carbon 12.
Okay, we've got calcium is a chemical element, is a symbol Ca, and atomic number of 20. As an alkaline earth metal, calcium is a reactive metal that forms a dark oxide nitride layer when exposed to air.
You have carbon, so 12. You have hydrogen 1. You have nitrogen 40. And you have oxygen 60. 43. You have calcium isotope 43. I wish we could separate these so that you could see. Now, maybe for the first time you understand which calcium is connected to human amino acid. And you understand has a deviation of 10% in the higher level. And then you add calcium 40. To have a calcium 40, it means you have to be lower by 3, which is isotope energy balance. We're not talking about the atomic the number of electrons and protons. Energy balance to the energy of what you call calcium 40. This is very hard, but once converted, very stable. So when you talk, we can't have, go back to calcium again, please.
Okay, I'm not sure if I can do that without disturbing you.
We can come back to it.
Okay.
When you look at the bone structure of the man, we see calcium 43 on, let me just tell you, if you haven't changed, I can teach you something else. When you look at the bone of the man, the bone is hollow majority of the time because this is where we produce, is the cavity where we produce the, what do you call it? The bone marrow as they come through. The bone marrow conversion does not happen on the outer layer of the bone. It happens in the inner layer. In a way, the amino acid, when the, let me give you a new page that I can explain it in a detail. I open up the structure, then you understand scientifically what happens, why calcium is connected to the, what do you call it, the bone structure. The heavier the mass, the harder and closer to matter state. Here, majority of the bone are calcium 43. Here, the majority of calcium is carbon 40.
You mean calcium 40, correct?
No. Sorry, the calcium 40, yeah.
Right.
But,
okay.
But, very interesting is that the lymph has to wriggle its way to come here to become part of bone marrow. The way the system works is heavier feeds the lighter in the strength. The stronger feeds the weaker. Due to carbon 43 outside, it's a calcium 43 outside, and a calcium 40 in the center, the lymph, due to being, in a way, plasmatic, moves to a lower strength to come. It's still got element of amino acid in it as its lymph. So when it gets to this point, its plasmatic field motion brings it to this point. Now your calcium is calcium 40. But the material arrives in a new environment, and the amino acid of the bone marrow is 40. It needs, as long as it's weaker, it will stay in that position. It needs to be rejected to and outside of the bone. So now you come with a different structure. This is the head of the bone. It's soft tissue. It's softer than the bone itself. Now, this bone marrow, this bone area is soft and is nanolayers in a very specific way, and certain strengths can go through, get repelled by field motion. So, to get repelled, to get moved, you have to create a condition that now you need a support from another element, which in a way converts the amino acid with, because of the pressure of the bone marrow, converts to calcium. But this is calcium 40, is not calcium 43. And becoming a calcium, it attaches itself, it gets embedded inside of the amino acid, which is 43. These nanolayers have certain affinity to certain strengths of the calcium because it's of their own, and the amino acid inside the bone marrow. Creation of the rejection of the fields. As bone marrow is pulled up, in a way pushes itself out, you have a field for rejection. Then this amino acid uses the calcium inside as a weight of a slingshot to move out through the nanolayers. So the calcium in the cell, inside the amino acid to become a cell, is product of the calcium 40. In the environment of bigger field of 43. And if the scientists understand, which a lot of scientists understand, the calcium we have in our blood, in every cell, is calcium 40, not calcium 43. And in amino acid, the stronger trying to feed the weaker makes the plasmatic magnetic field of the calcium as a center point. This is how it becomes the gravity. You have proteins and the structure amino acid that are all 43. The only reason they come together is because of the calcium 40. In a way, they're trying to feed it to make a connection to create a balance. And through the process of its work, is releasing all the energy out. And then it becomes energy, becomes a propeller for it to reject out of the body. This is one of the reasons why we even have a bone in the center of all our structure. And this is why you have heavy tissues on the back, the loin, where you don't have much muscle cover on the ribs. That muscle structure carries a very, very light calcium and comparison very heavy, what you call amino acid in the order of 45, 47, where normally it's 43. This gives it different texture. So when it's heavier and it pulls more, radiates out, it can cover the hollow section of the what we call even the stomach. This is why we don't have anything between the ribs and our hip. This is where, if you look, your loins, the back loins are the strongest. The calcium inside takes the job of covering to feel the shape. And that's why majority of us run into back problem. When you have a back problem, look at your calcium level. The strength is not there because the conversion of the copper, which is 64, 62, and 60s, which produces the muscle tissues, supports the muscle life, is concentrated with a calcium 40 in the center. So it becomes very tight. And that tightness creates tough tissue, but that tough tissue creates a massive magnetic field which replaces the calcium as rib cage. And you see, the minute you come to the tail end, even the animals, the muscle thins out because the hip takes that position of the calcium gravitational field balance. Those of you who suffer from the back problem, especially around the hip, look at your calcium structure. You'll find out very quickly you can solve it. Because it's there, it's built that way. And so the calcium, its position, its shape, and because it's in the center of every cell through the bone marrow, dictates our life, dictates our structure, even dictates our emotion. As I said, you see the position of the soul and position of the heart. You can see what kind of person it is. The calcium of the skull of the man creates certain fields, and the shape of it creates certain characters, certain behaviors. And that shape of the skull, the calcium used, dictates the orientation of the cells of the brain of the man and the connection of the plasma of the emotion. Creation is very simple once you understand it, and then you see how it is. That's why if you understand the magnetic field, your loins on the back of your spine dictate the position of your kidney, dictates the strength of your kidney. Because it's not just the loin. You have to look what field it creates, what it covers. Why do we have all the liver and kidneys and everything up near our chest cavity? Right on the top, the stomach is at the bottom. Because the combination of field of the back muscle, the loins, and the rib cage magnetic field dictates I can hold on to heavier material, the liver, the things that can hang on me, but it's magnetical field, but they create all sorts of things for it to be. And if you understand this, you can take the liver out, create that field, support that field, you see the liver to be created again from flesh. You have to understand, at the point of birth, there was no liver. How did it come there? Because the rib cage and the stomach or whatever created a field, that field allows construction of something we call liver, storage capacity, automatic feeding. Why do we have two kidneys on two sides? I explained before. Because the magnetic field of the emotional plant trying to brings it to where it has to be, and this is the best position. Feel the strength, confirm this position. And then condition of the salinity and everything else dictates the structure. The position of our organs is decided by our bone structure and the muscle tissue strength. Inside is decided by what we call the needs of the soul of the man. These things you have to understand why calcium is in the center of everything. You have amino acid of 43, 45. You need to hold the things together to be able to go through rejection of the bone marrow and the soft tissue magnetic field layers of the nanomaterial on the head of your bone. Why if you get a chicken bone, if you get any bone, why is it different color? Why is it sometimes darker? Have you looked at your nanomaterial? Have you seen how porous it is? It's just, you cannot scrape a layer of copper from the copper plate with your nail. You make it nano layer, layer by layer weak, and you just rub it and it's on your finger. It's the same copper. It's the positioning of it. And your top of your bone, that brownish you see with, or a slightly different color, is the same. Is a space gap. Is total nano on top of our head of, especially our femur, is totally structured from nano layers. And what space gap we say energy hides in it, that's a space gap dictates what energy is pulled out of the bone marrow to go back into the blood vessel. Knowledge of creation is very simple, if you understand it. And when you understand this, you can create systems to deliver certain behaviors. And this is why you have, what do you call it, the amino acid through the pressure on the inner layer, what you call the process of lymph coming from inside the bone to inside. That amino acid converts into matter state which can stand the gravitational field of the planet, which is calcium. Calcium doesn't come through your bone marrow and become calcium from here, calcium coming through. Its lymph, as it comes through the magnetic field, converts into calcium 40. We don't eat up, but it doesn't just produce, what do you call it, holds to calcium and rejects it. And this is made this way. Don't forget, the lymph as it comes in is energy packed, but it's got amino acid with it. Already has a seed of the calcium with it. That's why it gets pulled in. And then in this process of gaining more energy in the bone structure, matures and manifests itself as a seed of the lymph which it came in conversion. We forever recycle protein or recycle production and creation of calcium in the body.